just attached, you know, around the wire landing gear. Here's one in a gym. So I used to go to gyms and school gyms where my kids used to go and ask the principal if I could if I could run these things indoors when it was too windy outside, and they would let me. You know, they knew me. Here's one that's really elaborate. You know, you can see how elaborate that is. That one uses gears as well as pulleys in a multi configuration. Very complex setup there. It's kind of hidden behind that behind those covers there, but that's a Bell 47G, and that model was 2 feet. I still have all these models, by the way. They're stored in containers, so I'm not about to open the containers right now. But you know, you can see the stuff that I was doing back in the day here. Here's another one in the. And I sold these with the plans as well. You know, similar to those plans right there. I used to sell these with plans. We used to buy them. And this one doesn't show the model too well, but it is in flight. Okay, I know this video is going to be long, but I think it's going to be interesting for those that like history and want to want to continue watching here. But this is some of the stuff that they got me started here with all these helicopters here, and you can see. And I redid this in later years. About 5 years ago, I had made all these parts, all these connecting parts in from 3D printed 3D printed parts. Back in the day, we didn't have 3D printers, so it was you had to use whatever you could get. But this is how I started with these helicopters. So very simple contraptions here. And there's another one there that used the flex cable to the back, as you can see right there. And I call that the flash, which is very similar to what I showed earlier from the magazine that I submitted to flying models. And I started getting fancy and using machined aluminum, because by that time I had already purchased a Sherline lathe and mill, and so I was getting getting a little more fancy with some of the parts, that the rotors, even the pulleys. I was making that out of aluminum. With holes, you know, to line them up. And here's a collection of all these helicopters. You know, they got me started before I started doing this and getting a little more fancier with the with more realism. And this one right here, when I designed this one, I submitted the plans to the the U.S. Copyright Office. Kind of similar to when you submit a patent. You know, you could do a design and submit it to, just for copyright purposes and trademark purposes. So I submitted that particular one, and I do have that plan somewhere. They gave me a seal, and I could I think I kept it for a couple of years, and then you had to pay a certain amount of money, just to keep it archived. These are some of the models. You can see my pilots there. You can see some of the mechanics. And then I started getting a little into the radio, not radio control, but with a little more control in a mechanical 3D type of system here, and that's what this helicopter is about right here. You'll see it. This one has a belt pulley system to the back, but the tail rotor is pitchable via a link to a servo. You'll see the servo there. The servos there were not as small as the servos of today, so I had to modify some of those servos. There's the Shark right there, the one that I used to sell in kit form. There's the plan. They came along with that. It's in full color. You can see the rubber band right there and the flex cable right there. there's the one. And these were very simple profiles. Here's another one done with tissue paper, colored tissue paper, just to keep it very lightweight. And these things flew great. Here's my couple of my daughters here, my backyard where I used to live. I didn't have that big of space, but we used to fly these things in the backyard, and I had a lot of fun with these simple designs. Here's one, almost near the power lines. There's the Bell 47G. Bell 47G. It does not have the canopy. I think I drew that as a means of trying to find the proper skill, for making the cabin, which I did in later times. Here's one in kind of flying in the park. That's me when I was younger, and with some of the there's that one into. Look how big that rubber band is horizontally done there. It's kind of disproportionate to the model, but this was a test model. I wanted to see how much rubber I would need, to make that helicopter fly, in that configuration, that weight specification. There it is, and you can see the belt system right there. And some of these blades were pitchable as well at the time. There's another one. There we go. Okay, so from here we're looking into this particular one was done with I believe one 3/32 square balsa sticks. Then I went into 1/8 here, but you can see here you need more. You need more triangulation here in order to maintain this some rigidity in the framework. So when I went to 1/8 with a little bit of sacrifice in added weight, I also minimized the triangulation here by just going with stiffer balsa sticks, and that was the idea with these particular designs here. A very simple one. I think I called this the 1, 2, 3 because it was just you could build this in 1, 2, 3 steps real quick. So I did a kit of this. I don't have that photograph here of the kit, but and there's the one. There's the Ranger with before I did the flight that I sent to Flying Models. There's the Ranger again with a little bit of clay at the proper locations there to bounce that out correctly, because these things get a little bit torquey if you don't have the proper number of turns and the proper size of rubber. So all that plays a role in rubber powered models. Here's another one. This is a Bell 47G. There's the plan, one of the plans that I used to sell, with my helicopters. Here again, flex cable to the front, and I believe on some of these I added gearing. Here's another one. There we go, one. Another one there. So from the rubber-powered helicopters, as I was saying, I went into experimenting with free flight helicopters. But before free flight, I started doing these contraptions here, which I would. This one is one that I designed, and as you can see, the blades do pitch. It's got the control somewhere around here. You can see that little lever there, just like a regular radio control um, helicopter that has a mechanical tail with pitchable blades. And so I did this contraption here so that I could mount that on a platform here, on a gimbal, basically an arm, a mechanical arm, a simulator, and I could simulate and I could practice in my family room or in my basement and teach myself how to fly these things. So this is the little helicopter that kind of allowed me to get a feel for radio control helicopters in later years. Now we're getting into more radio control helicopters here. This is one that I also designed. You can see I'm also in the learning stages here with this particular one. Basically all from scratch. You can see it flying there. Here I am practicing, trying to get the feel for it. And then from that, I went onto bigger helicopters like this one that you see here. And this one was based on the, this was inspired by the Whisper. So when the Whisper came out, I saw that model flying in one of the shows. But the Whisper had some issues with with the frame. It would crack really easy, and then you ended up buying and so many parts that were not they were plastic. And so when I did this design here, I like I was saying, I already had a mill and a lathe, Sherline milled and lathe, and so I did a lot of these aluminum parts there, and I even used this square tubing here in the back of for the boom. But I had to line this up. This took me a little while, to machine all those slots there, and the belt runs right inside the square tubing right there. So this was more squarish. You can see a little more of that those details there. And you can see that in those years I was into this type of artwork. So I ended up embedding that in the canopy here. I was also beginning to mold my own canopies, so I learned how to mold a vacuum form. I made my own vacuum forming machine, and as well as an injection molding machine in these years here, as I was needing to manufacture these things, and not resort to bought products. Here are the forms, not the best in the world. These were balsa. Later on, I started making these in Renwood, which is a lot easier to machine and provides a nice smooth surface, and it's great for vacuum forming. Here you see that helicopter that I was talking about, inspired by the Whisper, but not the Whisper in design, because these were my own. This is my own frame design here, with these levels here, and this was to avoid any complexity in the way the Whisper was designed, and just simplify a lot of those details there. But I am giving credit, and I am saying it was inspired by the Whisper. But as you can see, and you have a Whisper, or you've seen the Whisper, the electric Whisper of those days, you can see that it's that my design is different in many ways. This is an old helicopter that I had. I think I bought this from the hobby shop that I used to sell my rubber-powered helicopters. Same thing with this one over here. These are old helicopters, gas helicopters. This used to use a G.I. Joe figure. I think this is called a, God, it's a German-made helicopter. I still have this. I still have that. And this is when I was learning how to fly now helicopters with, these gas-powered helicopters. They were monsters to fly. Very difficult because they didn't have we didn't have gyros for the rear tail wheel, and so it was very, very tricky to maintain control of these helicopters. Some of the ultralight helicopters that as I was trying to do, getting it really, really lightweight on some of these airframes, and I was testing them in my backyard. Another photo of an early hang glider. This was this I found the plans of this in one of the magazines. I built it, but I had trouble, getting this to fly consistently because you had to turn the radio back in those days, 45 degrees in order to get elevation control, and tossing the model from a hill and going down and fetching and going back to the hill to toss it again. It was just too tiresome. So, but this was one of the early models, and then from there, here you go. Some of the it's a hang glider. And I was employing the two servo L1 as this model called for on the GI Joe, but now I started making my own models, my own pilots, and from there I went into making these hang gliders. Back in the day, we're talking about there's the pilot for the GI Joe pilot for an early hang glider that I was designing in those days. The ripstop nylon with the carbon tubes, some paraplane designs here, early paraplane designs. Once again, the arm that I designed here for that mechanical simulator, so that I can learn without breaking the model, radio control helicopters. So anyway, some of the photographs. I mean, this is just a small section of the stuff that I've done in many years ago, but the gist of this video, I know I kind of shifted into other areas, but the gist of this video was to focus in on this particular Robert Barrett helicopter. The stuff that got me started in establishing MIA microflight, and I mean, I don't care so much about this gentleman building and using my design, but I have to point this out because that's not his design. I wish he would have said, I pulled this from a plan and I enlarged it, or I made these changes, but he's not saying that. He's blatantly calling it his helicopter, his design, and you can see that it's not. Anyway, this is how I like working with things. If I see something that's not right, I'm going to call it out. So, and people know that. People, there are people out there that have tried to either stifle my work or try to be a little funny with the way they approach things, or you have to call those things out. You can't let those things by, because then people get accustomed to doing that, or if you don't say anything, they get away with things like that, and it's not right. It's Mario once again with my American Flight. I'm doing this video rather late, and my speech is getting a little bit sluggish because I'm tired. But anyway, I wanted to finish this video and put it out there. Once again, thanks for watching.